Are you a coach, consultant, author, speaker, or a service-based entrepreneur of any kind? Are you trying to figure out if you're finally going to launch the thing, serve the people, and pivot to do what you have been called to do? Are you stuck on how it's supposed to all come together? Then join me for my free 5-day challenge. It's called Created for Purpose, and you can find it at patricewashington.com/challenge. If you know anything about my story, you know I lost everything during the recession in 2008. And it took me years to fumble my way through this online game, but I did it so you don't have to. I'll show up and show you step by step how to stop trying to piecemeal information together so you can finally live your life's purpose, prevail online, and thrive even through turbulent times. Head to patricewashington.com/challenge because I believe you were created for purpose, with purpose, on purpose, and none of that has changed. We start December 7th and you need to be there. patricewashington.com/challenge.
I believe there's a constant epiphany of the kind of greatness that we have within us that you are able to force us to extract and then appreciate.
You're listening to the Redefining Wealth podcast with Patrice Washington. In today's episode, I sit down with corporate America veteran and budding entrepreneur Marsha-Ann Donaldson-Brown. She says you can be content with your life, and yet there's still more. Hey there, this is Patrice Washington from patricewashington.com, where we chase purpose, not money. Welcome back to another episode of Redefining Wealth. If you are brand new here, here's what you need to know. We are a community of purpose chasers, and we believe in the original 12th century definition of wealth, which says it's all about the condition of well-being. It's not so much about just money and material possessions as the world would have you believe. And so each and every week, we seek to unpack what that really looks like by using our 6 pillars of wealth. If you want to know more about those, head to patricewashington.com/start here. patricewashington.com/start here. You get access to a free audio training that breaks down the 6 pillars of wealth, and it even has a mini assessment so that you can figure out what pillar you need to start with in order to start to improve your finances from the inside out. Before we jump into this week's episode, it's brought to you by Created for Purpose. It's my free 5-day challenge that is all about helping you get unstuck around how your gift and the marketplace are supposed to come together purposefully. If you know anything about me, you know that my career was built in a time like this, and I fumbled my way through this online game so you wouldn't have to. So instead of YouTubing and Googling and piecemealing all the things together, I'm going to teach you in that 5-day live challenge how to prevail online and thrive even in turbulent times. To sign up, head to patricewashington.com/challenge. Again, that's patricewashington.com/challenge. We begin on December 7th, and I want you to be there because I believe you were created for purpose, with purpose, on purpose. So let's do this. So I know a few weeks back for National Entrepreneurship Day, we highlighted women from my signature program, Purpose to Platform, every day. And I actually had done more than just 5 interviews because these women are so incredible. And when I thought about Marsha-Ann's story and how a few days before the Created for Purpose Challenge, she knew not who I was. She had never heard of me, but yet there was something that resonated. She came in, became a member of Purpose to Platform. And as you will hear her say, the rest is history. If you are at the point where you know that you've checked all the boxes and by society standards, you look successful, you should be happy every day in and out, but you know deep down that there's still something missing. You're really going to identify with Marsha-Ann and see what's possible when you give yourself permission to acknowledge that. So without further ado, let me introduce Marsha-Ann. Marsha-Ann Donaldson-Brown is Director of Romance for the globally recognized power brand Sandals Resorts International. Charged with capturing the imagination of couples around the world and helping them realize memories of a lifetime, Brown's role is pivotal to the Sandals brand and one that over 3 decades she has become uniquely qualified and widely respected for. These days, since the pandemic began, Brown has not shifted, but added to her role by really diving deeply into her own mission to empower women to transform their lives to one of purpose, passion, and prosperity. Without further ado, here is Marsha-Ann Donaldson-Brown. Welcome to the Redefining Wealth podcast, Marsha-Ann.
I am so excited to be here.
I am so excited for you to be here. And I have to tell you guys, you can't see Marsha-Ann, but let me tell you what she is good for, honey. She is good for a statement necklace, honey. Always a beautiful statement necklace and a bold lip. Doesn't matter if we're on a call early morning, afternoon, middle of the night. When she turns that camera on, she gonna give you something. And today is no different. I love it, Marsha.
Nothing like a big, bold statement piece. And that's my signature.
I used to be that girl too. When I first started speaking, when I found my rhythm and really started to own who I was on stage, I was good for a bright colored dress and a nice, bold necklace. And that was my thing. And then somewhere along the line, I've transitioned into blazers and skinny jeans. I think you just have to allow yourself to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's called seasons, right? We go through these stages and phases. So I'm still in my big, bold, beautiful, bright statements.
Yes. And you wear it so well. And before we really jump in, we both have to thank our good friend, mentor, Paul Brunson. When I think of Jamaica, I think of Paul. Like, he doesn't have an accent, but he really represents his culture, his roots, and has made it so much a part of who he is. And I was a guest on Better with Paul, or on one of his YouTube.
Yes, you were. Correct.
And that's how we met.
I heard of you for the very first time then. That was actually a couple months ago. And it was in May, I believe, to be more specific. And you came on and you were talking about podcasting. And so I really thank Paul, who I have the greatest level of admiration and respect for. He's truly a human connector, and he's such a good soul. And I'm proud to say and call him my mentor. And I believe what was so captivating about the time that you presented on this very short window of time, you were talking about podcasting, which was not even a desire of mine, but I was searching and something about you, like a lightning bolt, goes, yep, she's the one.
I think that's so funny that you were not even interested in podcasting, because the very first time that I heard you speak, once you decided to enroll in Purpose to Platform, and we'll get to that. But the very first time I heard you speak, I said, oh my goodness, this woman needs a podcast. She needs a podcast. She needs to be on television. She needs to do video. I was like, people need to hear her voice. You have one of the most soothing and comforting voices, tones, messages of anyone I've ever met. Honestly.
Wow. And coming from you, that means a lot. And my goodness, you have allowed me to embrace my voice more. And you have encouraged me in this time that I have connected with you since June to now. And it has just been an epiphany that this voice is actually for more than just being contained to my small circle.
Oh, I love that. One of the things that I love since I've been watching your growth since entering Purpose to Platform, and let's just talk about that. So you saw me on Paul's Live. I know that was a Friday, and yes, I know that I was kicking off my Creative for Purpose challenge the next week. And so you heard me on Friday and then you just came on over and ended up being a part of the challenge?
Like, you wouldn't even understand how instantaneous it was. So you announced at the end of your segment that you're having this challenge. And I remember I still have that same notebook, writing that down. And I'm like, this is it. Because in my mind, when I said, like, truly a lightning bolt that you're the one for me, I was going through this period of time. And this is all really since this COVID period where I began to soul search that much more. And I knew I wanted more. I knew I had more to offer in this world and in my life and to serve others. And I wanted to ensure that I had a coach who could guide me along that path. But I wasn't familiar with where to look and what to look for, quite honestly. But I knew I also wanted somebody who was spirit-led. That was very important for me. And you didn't speak about anything like that on the podcast, but the light that emitted from you, your energy and your conviction, I knew that that's where I ought to be. So when you offered that challenge and then I'm like, oh gosh, Facebook, you mean I have to go sign up and reactivate Facebook? I was not a lover of Facebook for many years. And so I had to embrace. So thanks to you, I'm like, okay, well, this is where it's going to be. I want to enter this challenge. And from day one of entering the chat, so I did more research about you. And then I learned about your 6 pillars. And then I listened to some of your talks. And when I reactivated one of the questions that you had in one of your videos about the 6 pillars, you asked to number in the order of where you believe you need the most help. Where do you need to focus? Is it in your fit pillar? Is it in your people pillar? Is it in your money pillar? So you spoke to that. And then I jumped on the challenge. How do we say, real cliche, the rest is history? Like, how do you say that? Because after that challenge, you spoke about purpose to platform. And I knew from day one of the challenge that you pierced a pain point. Don't we all have a pain point?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the moment you find that you've got a pain point and you find that there is an activator of that pain point and then a possible solution to taking you from the equivalent of hell to heaven. And sometimes we don't even identify that it's called a pain point until you're pierced.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Someone has to stir it up.
Stir it up like a nest and to get to that core. And that's what you did. And I'm like, okay, purpose to platform it is. And I knew when I signed up, and then the first assignment was do a video. I'm like, all right, let's do this. Where are we going with this? And I cannot say enough. If I were to best describe from day one, quite honestly, what I believe has been the greatest gift is transparency, as well as the spirit of unity, the commonality, the community, and the purpose that you are so resolute at making sure that each one of us identify our purpose. You get us to uncomfortable places. We have a saying for you that says you snatch our edges, like, get it, translation, get your act together. We're going to do this, right? And there is just this, I believe there's a constant epiphany of the kind of greatness that we have within us that you are able to force us to extract and then appreciate.
Oh my gosh. Again, this is why I love Marsha-Ann. You're just amazing. And I think that when I think about even doing the Creative for Purpose challenge and everything that was going on at that time, in the world. Like, so not just the pandemic, but the protesting that had broken out and, people losing their jobs and all the things that just seem to be happening at once, and thinking like, you know what, maybe this isn't the right time. And honestly, to see the people like yourself that were attracted into the program because they resonated with something that was said or demonstrated during that Creative for Purpose challenge, like it just keeps confirming why walking in obedience is important.
It's so important. Can I tell you the 3 things that struck me the most that made me say go? And I'm going to reference it, but I also am telling you that I have made it my life principle now. And I believe what struck me the most is your consistency and your commitment during the challenge. You showed up every evening at 7:00 without fail. I mean, I had an alarm on for everything in my house, and you showed up, commitment and consistency. But I'm going to tell you my deal breaker. You want to hear what it is? I sent you a direct message on Instagram, making an inquiry of you, and you responded in the most humane, humble fashion. And so the communication aspect, so commitment, consistency, and communication, those 3 pillars sealed so much for me, because I knew you were human. I knew you were authentic. I knew you were so genuine, and that you really had one mission. Whether I was going to be a part of the program or not was irrelevant to you. You wanted to make yourself accessible to answer the question. That's a powerful lesson for all of us in any human interaction, whether personally or professionally. I'm awestruck by you. Just say, wow. Patrice, and I hear your voice in my head.
I hear that a lot. That a lot. People are like, your voice is in my head before I make a purchase, before I do this, before I'm like, that could be good or bad. I don't know.
It's a good
thing. Well, what I love about what I've seen of you on Instagram is not only were you able to rise to the occasion of the challenges. So throughout Purpose the Platform, you do get challenges, and several of them are uncomfortable. They require you to be vulnerable. They require you to maybe stretch and do things you've never done. And I've been watching you in particular on Instagram, and there's a post that really struck me that you put out, and it was about dreaming again. It was about dreaming again. And you showed a picture of your younger self, and you were talking about living in Florida at the time. In case you can't tell, Marsha-Ann's in Jamaica, but living in Florida back in the day and feeling so, full of life and on fire.
Yes.
For your faith, for family, for friends, for your education, like doing all the things. And then you talked about, and at some point the light was a little dimmed, and somehow the flame went out. So can you just give us a bit of your journey?
Absolutely.
What was going on well before you met me in May? What was happening?
So I think I've always been that very vibrant, outgoing, dynamic, full of life soul. And I've lived my life in that fashion. I had migrated from Jamaica. I went and I lived overseas in Florida. I went to university there. And I also worked there in the industry, in the hospitality industry, which is what I do here on the beautiful island of Jamaica, may I just add. And in that period of time, I was always on this incredible climb. Professionally, I was on a great climb. And then I chose to move back to Jamaica. And then I also continued professionally on that climb and had my personal life too. Got married, became a mom, did all of those aspects. And I felt fulfilled. But the older I have gotten, I've identified that prosperity for me is not about acquiring things. It's not about my degrees. You can have more degrees on a thermometer. It's not going to move me. It is not about the titles in a job and how high that climb is. It is so much, and it's not about the house, the car. I have gotten to that point where in my story, I know within my deep core that there is so much more for me. And I got diagnosed with lupus 12 years ago. And I didn't know I had what I had until I started P2P. Here is this. I got diagnosed with lupus and I began to accept that fear affected me. Fear of being judged, fear of taking off the cape of being this incredible person who is capable of doing everything, and also the whole critical imposter syndrome, which I only truly learned about and embraced since I joined P2P. I did not know that my fear of being perceived as weak and as a failure, especially within my professional climb, I did not want it to be known that I was unwell. And so many suffer from that. So many, in one way or another. And so it's important to identify. If you ask me to best describe, picture an onion that's unpeeled, will you? Okay. When you picture that onion which is unpeeled, the only way to get to the core of that onion is layer by layer, peel it off. But if you remember peeling off any onion, what happens to you? Tears come with it.
Tears.
You cry. You have these moments of weeping, like your eyes just can't stop. And I believe it's time that we treat our lives where we can envision ourselves as an onion and take the time out to identify what is truly at our core that could be causing us hurt, that could be holding us back, that needs to literally be uprooted, cut out, annihilated, so that we can live our very best life. And that's the mission that I'm on now, but not just for myself. What has happened to me during this period of time is understanding that on this mission to live the best version of self, which all of us must be on a quest to do, it would be selfish for us to think we're going to live life for ourselves and not serve others. So I sat before God and I said, I can love everything that I'm doing now, but there is more. And in that more, what will my legacy be? I ask you. I ask everyone else listening, what will your legacy be? And as long as we extract the I and the me, and we begin to identify the we, then I believe we would be living our lives on purpose. So right now, I'm on a mission to engage and to empower. I'm on a mission to ensure that I'm a part of a transformation age where I can say to women, yes, you are able, more than able. You can live a life on purpose. You must live a life that's powered by passion, and you must embrace that prosperity comes along with it.
Oh, so good. There is so much there. Okay. So let's talk about this analogy of the onion. So for you, as you have been working towards peeling off these layers, and we know that comes with a lot of tears. What do you say to someone about, first of all, is there something they need to equip themselves with or surround themselves with to be prepared? Because we know as the layers come off, tears are coming. So let's not act like it has to catch us by surprise. Is there something that you did to prepare for that? Or is there something that you suggest once you're in the middle of that process, peeling back the layers? What are some things that you must have in you or around you?
Right. So I believe the very first thing to have in you, I had to come to grips that I needed to identify what is that missing link. So you have to first come to that point of self-acceptance. And then you have to have the mind and the will and the determination to piercingly identify what is it that you need to work on. But also know it is not a walk for yourself. So I'm going to tell you this straight up. And this especially, I want to speak to women who are high achievers, the ones that seem to have the cape on and have it together. I want to speak candidly about that because you seem to be the one that have the answers for everyone else. You don't take the time out to answer yourself. So you have to get to a place where you are uncomfortable with accepting there is something that needs to be fixed, and I'm on a quest for it. You might not feel broken, but you must also ask yourself, could I be more fulfilled?
That is such a good point, Marsha-Ann. That is such a great point because people, again, depending on how you defined wealth for yourself, will assume that because you have the things, the title, the car, the house, 2.5 kids, the spouse, the whatever, that, oh, I should be happy. I should be content with where I am. And so they ignore that nagging sense of unfulfillment and suffer in silence.
Right.
Because it's also really hard to turn to someone else, a friend, a family member, an acquaintance who may not have a third of what you have and say, but I'm unfulfilled. Because
Correct.
like, well, how is that possible? You look perfect, or you look like you. That's not possible. You look perfect. You look like you have it all together, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad you said that. That's really
absolutely,
cool.
Absolutely. So here is what I believe is the second most important thing. Once you have come to that intimate knowledge with self, and you say, God, I need help. You've got to have a true, trusted, non-judgmental community or support system. Vital. True, trusted, non-judgmental. Vital for it to happen.
So what do you say to people who say, well, I don't have friends and family that support me? How did you do it?
So I believe, so one of the things I really have to give God thanks for is that I have an incredible network of great family and a tribe of true supporters. But I also know that there are those who don't have that. And here is what I believe speaks volumes. So you have made accessible, for example, Redefining Wealth, a Facebook community that has everyone openly sharing their stories. For those who understand in the importance of investment, and it's not an easy word for some to embrace at a time like this where they would say, listen, right now I literally am holding on to everything I have. And I questioned my ability to make an investment. But I would say, literally, this is what I did. And I'm going to say it to anyone else. 1, divide the amount by 365 days. Determine the value of that, dividing whatever that dollar amount is to take the program, such as one as powerful and life-changing as this. You divide it by 365 days. You then determine what is it that I need to extract from my life for the 365 days to invest in myself to get a guaranteed return. Not all investments give you an ROI. But when you invest in yourself, and you said something that was so compelling, and this is from when you gave us that challenge. You said, there is no true transformation without transaction. Until I am choosing to invest, then my efforts may falter. But the moment I have made a decision to invest, it means I am saying to myself, I need to be my best version of self. I need to extract where I'm holding myself back. What are the shackles that are holding us back that we don't even know? And to know you're not alone. So this is where community comes in, you ask me. When you meet with other like-minded and heart-minded women who are open enough to share their stories, the times you think that you're alone, you know you are in a sea of women who all have a story. So what does community tell you? Community also extracts that your story is not for you.
It does. Really, because no matter what you're experiencing, what I love about being in community is that there's always someone who can say, oh, been there, done that.
Correct.
You know, there's always someone who can say, oh, me too. So
Correct.
that you know, without a shadow of a doubt, you're not alone. You're not the first. You're not the last. You're not alone. Right. But I have to say, I love what you just said about taking the investment and breaking it down by 365 days. Listen, you know, I'm a money girl. That really spoke to me. Like, gold star. I've never said that. I've never even talked to anyone about that. But I love how you put it, because when you do that, it literally allows you to go, what $2 to $3 purchase a day can I get rid of in order to get what I say I want? What
subscription can I cancel? What subscription can I cancel?
That's brilliant. That is really brilliant. I love it. Yeah. I love it. So your flame is like burning bright right now. You have done so much in the last few months. So can you talk about specifically what you've been able to create since coming into Purpose the platform?
So my very, very, very first bold move, and it might seem so inconsequential to many, but it has just become a metamorphosis of awesomeness. But my very, very first bold move was to we started the program the second week in June. We were challenged to identify a platform that we can be heard, text, comments, post, and I decided I'm starting an Instagram Live on a Sunday evening at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I did it with my knees knocking. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, it seems so unnatural. I can speak on a stage, I can speak in an audience, but how do I speak on social media and I'm not going to get these responses in the face-to-face? I did my very, very first one. And I proudly did it and had my first guest, who is my phenomenal daughter, a 20-year-old entrepreneur. And she dropped nuggets beyond compare, a med student. And she really gave me the catalyst to start. And I remembered you in my head saying commitment and consistency. I'm like, I can't stop now. So I did the second one. On the second one, that was called Your Story is Not Just Your Story for You. Your story is for someone else. And that's when I first, after 12 years, went public about speaking of having lupus and how I thought that I needed to have this shield around me, superwoman on the go. And I'm proud to tell you that nothing has stopped. I've had phenomenal guests. I've done solo episodes. And now Real Talk is the name of my show. And it is every Sunday evening. Now the guests all show up and we decide what, bring your dinner, bring your cocktails, bring your wine, and we're going to have an evening. And what it has created, Patrice, is an actual community, a safe space to encourage, to engage, to empower, and to ensure that we're those who understand that we must live a life of purpose. We must be powered by passion, and prosperity is guaranteed. And so it's been phenomenal. So I have now already, I believe it's now 11 episodes. I call them episodes because I'm like seeing myself on my TV show.
That's right. Come on with your statement necklace in bold colors, bold lip. Of course, I see it too. What I love too is the screenshots of what people are saying to you in the comments and in the DMs. So here's this story that you basically hid from the public eye for 12 years. And then second episode, you decide to give yourself permission to be vulnerable and to truly connect with the audience. And I've seen the engagement, I've seen the likes and all the comments, right? And so you gave yourself permission, and it was the complete opposite of probably anything you thought could happen if you told that story before.
Polar opposite. But I believe what's important about telling the story is identifying, this is not about lupus. This is about knowing what is the story that you have that you ought to be comfortable, bold enough to share, to know that you can help yourself, because there is a liberation, there is a freeness, there is a weight. If you ask me today, I would say to you, and I literally felt it, you can soar like an eagle the moment you begin to tell your story. Lift a weight. You don't even know you're carrying a weight when you trap something in so deeply. But I'm encouraging you, release that weight. Whatever your hell is, believe me, the opposite is true. The heaven is there waiting through your story.
Absolutely. So what else have you done in addition to launching the show on Instagram? What else is going on?
We're going to call it the show. Yes. The other thing that I have done is that this period of time has forced me into, how have I walked into my purpose? How have I better identified the pillars that I live by? And there are 6 core pillars to live life on purpose. And I say to activate the greatness within you. I'm considering myself your chief activator, actually. The chief activator to activate the greatness that's within you. And there's 6 core pillars. And they include personal development, peace, people, purpose, passion, and prosperity. 6 of them. I'm guaranteeing you, if you take them one by one by one, identify where you need the most work. All pillars are relevant and important, but you will know whether or not, if your peace has been eroded, if your inner peace has just been completely marred, what will it take for you to come to peace with yourself, with your circumstances, with releasing people that you need to let go, because in an effort to have peace, everything can't go with you.
Say that again.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Listen, this is so true. But how? So you have these pillars now.
I do.
How are you incorporating them into serving women?
Fantastic. So what I've done is that I've developed what would be considered your power sheet. And this is an available option. It's a link that's available on my social media handles. My website is being developed as we speak, soon to be revealed. But they can actually get that for a free downloadable option, which you have shared with us. Like, give the nuggets that that have caused you to grow. And so this is my give back nugget to say to women who want to live their best lives, who want to understand that there is purpose in their pain. There's absolute purpose in their pain, not to keep it to themselves, not to make pride cloud them, but to ensure that they are walking out their purpose. So yes, you need the personal development. Part of personal development, invest in yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just one element. There's so many elements. So I've laid it out in that sheet, and it's accessible for free to anyone who wants it. And I'm at Marsha-Ann B, like a queen bee, Marsha-Ann B on Instagram. I can be found on Facebook as well as a downloadable option. And it will also be on my website.
Yes. And we will link to it in the show notes. And I think another important thing that I have to share about you, Marsha-Ann, before I let you go, is that as a woman who already had a successful corporate career, sometimes it can be nerve-wracking. Can I do this other thing? And I think the way that you have built this platform to really empower and encourage and inspire and equip women is really an asset, I'm sure, to who you are in the workplace. I think sometimes people get scared because they're like, well, I don't want to do this thing on the side. But I really think living out and just allowing yourself to explore what this thing on the side is makes you better at work, because now you don't have all these things kind of bound up. You can express yourself in another way that is still complementary and even probably an asset, to your workplace.
You could not have said it better. And the word you prefaced by saying living out. I would say truly, I am a better version of myself. And I always say we sometimes confuse that you're supposed to have two personalities, a professional and a personal. And that is the farthest thing from the truth. You must be one and the same, and you must be able to thrive. What this has done for me, my mindset has shifted. A whole new being has emerged. And without question, I know I'm a better leader. I know I'm a better person. I know I'm serving broader. And most importantly, especially now, there are women, both within the corporate world and on the outside, that need examples of not thinking people are perfect. There is this vision that if you hold a capacity, you don't have flaws. We're all broken vessels. We just need to embrace that and know that it builds us from who we are so that we can serve better. So I know I'm a better being within a corporate world now. I speak differently. I walk differently. I engage each day with a greater level of possibility because my purpose is being fulfilled. And what is life if we would have done this journey and that little dash from the date of birth to the day that we expire has not been fulfilled? Empty me out.
Empty me out. I love it. I'm going to ask you some redefining wealth rapid wisdom questions. So you're going to just tell us the first thing that comes to mind, okay?
Okay.
How do you define success?
Success for me is defined as having true purpose, love, peace, and joy.
Wonderful. How do you define wealth in 3 words or less?
Wealth in 3 words or less: health, true prosperity, and again, peace.
Well, that's 4 words.
Oh, really?
You said true prosperity. So,
okay.
Health, prosperity, and purpose?
Yes.
Okay. No cheating. Okay. What's one book that has redefined how you see wealth?
The Bible.
Me too, girl. All right. You're going to fill in the blank. My name is, and to me, the truth about wealth is.
My name is Marsha-Ann, and the truth about wealth is living life on purpose and with passion.
Amen. I love it. Thank you, Marsha-Ann. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I'm so incredibly proud of you. And I'm so excited that when I am back traveling, I have someone to visit in Jamaica.
Oh, absolutely. Azure blue waters are waiting for you and balmy breeze.
All right. Did you get so many nuggets from Marsha-Ann? Don't you just love her voice? I loved her voice from the moment I first heard her. She speaks with such power and certainty. And it's just, again, such a great champion of what's possible when we give ourselves permission to pivot, permission to accept that we can be really happy and have really great lives and still know that there is more for us. So just some of the takeaways, she talked about peeling back the layers and how you need to have support around you as you do that, embracing your story and understanding that the story is never just for you. It's never just about you. There is always someone else who's going to be incredibly empowered by that story, and allowing yourself, right, to love your family, love your life, love your career, and still know that there's more. So check out Marsha-Ann. We have all of her links to the website, to the freebie that she promised. Everything is in the show notes. So make sure you check the show notes, and also find her in social media, Marsha-Ann B, as in Queen Bee. No, just the B. Marsha-Ann B on Instagram in particular, where she hosts her show. And join us for the next round of Created for Purpose. This challenge shifted so much for the folks who went through it in June. And it was such at a pivotal time. Like, it was such a pivotal time. So much was going on. And yet every night, hundreds of people were able to come together and really dedicate that time to working on their personal development and what was next for them. And I think even now, as we're planning to head into a new year, and maybe we're accepting that I want more in 2021. Like 2020, I'm just glad I made it. I survived. But in 2021, how do I take my purpose and actually thrive? Come and join us. It's going to be an incredible experience. And my commitment is to show up, be consistent, give you not a Band-Aid, but give you real actionable steps that hopefully you can take and plan something amazing for 2021. So join us, patricewashington.com/challenge, patricewashington.com/challenge. And until next time, I want you to go live your life's purpose, find fulfillment, and earn more without ever chasing money. Talk to you later.